In Year 12, my cohort and I travelled to Egerton for a retreat, which is a fancy way of saying school camp. The theme throughout the camp was shedding masks, which symbolised revealing who you truly are. So over the course of 3 to 4 days, we participated in a bunch of games and activities that allowed us to get to know each other on a much more personal level. One exercise in particular divided us into a bunch of small groups where we were to share our entire life story. Initially, nobody wanted to go first, so I volunteered, and I tried my best to make my story sound as interesting as possible. I was a school captain in primary school, I have danced my entire life, I have travelled to Europe, and while these aspects may sound interesting, I wouldn't consider them to be extremely unique. What I didn't know at that time was that every single other person in my group, including the supervising teacher, had experienced some kind of trauma or hardship in their life. Emotional detachment, self-esteem issues, mental illness, deceased family members, broken families, even miscarriages were just a few of the issues discussed in my group. I was left in tears, surrounded by people that I had known my entire life, but never truly known. A life that I had considered to be boring and average was really one filled with great privilege, because I realized that I had never gone through anything that those people had. The bravery and courage to stand up and tell their truly personal story can be told through the words of Winston Churchill. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. And this is exactly what those teens did. That exercise has stuck with me since that moment and is definitely the most memorable part of that camp. I was feeling very empathetic towards those schoolmates and wanted nothing more than to help them, but I realized that you can't change the past. I did, however, make a conscious effort to chat whenever I could, as it made me realize that you should always show genuine compassion to everyone you interact with, because you never truly know what anyone has gone through. I realized that people just want to be heard, and allowing the people in my group to talk clearly helps them emotionally. Because of this, I realized that so many people have had similar experiences and also just want a voice. Because of this, I decided to study law and journalism at university. I'm only in my first semester, but I've realized that I'm really enjoy learning law. However, I'm much more passionate about journalism. I feel like journalists have the power to share important messages to the world and can positively help people. Majority of the people in my group were males, and it baffled me because they spoke afterwards saying that they had never gone into depth about their emotions or their stories before that point in time. I became much more aware of the toxic masculinity in men and the stereotype that boys cannot share their emotions. Because of this, I realized that 6 out of every 8 suicides in Australia are men, which means that men die of suicides. The number of men that die of suicides every year is double the national road toll. My passion for this topic allowed me to realize that media often dehumanizes people because they simply portray the facts and not any of the emotions included in those subjects. Because of this, in the future, I would love to be a journalist that focuses on human interest, whether that means writing feature articles. I would like to extend the circle of trust that I created in high school to people all around the world, whether that be interviewees or anyone that reads my work, meeting new people and hearing their stories, being able to share those stories that can potentially help people is something that I would love to do in my future. Being a voice to those who have a story to tell is my goal,